Joe Baker, My Slice of Heaven, My Slice of Heaven, Joe Baker.
Thank you. Thank you. My slice of heaven is my wife. I think of her more and more often as we come into April, because 7 years ago we were married on April Fool's Day. Now that might seem an odd day to get married on, but it was the last Saturday in her spring break. I first met my wife through eHarmony. I had just moved to Eugene to work a one-year contract, and by the end of the year, I found myself married. But the first time I met her, I had typed into eHarmony. I was looking for a lady for a serious relationship within 50 miles of Eugene. Well, all these matches popped up. Eugene, Roseburg, almost up to Salem, except for this one last match. There was a high school teacher in Coos Bay. Didn't seem remarkable. Now, for those of you who do not know the geography of Oregon, if you were to travel down the west coast from Washington, you'd go out to a little bump in southern Oregon, and then you'd come back to California. Coos Bay is that bump. Well, we hit it off very well via email, but I didn't want a long distance relationship. I've been in relationships where I had to fly 4 hours to get back to my beloved. Where's Coos Bay? You live in Eugene, but where is Coos Bay? I asked my coworkers, how do you get to Coos Bay? Simple. Get on the road outside the factory and go west. And keep going west and go west until that road dead ends in a T intersection. Then turn left at the T and start going south. The first thing you run into, the first big thing you run into is Coos Bay. Well, that didn't seem too bad. I'm used to speeding. I come from Georgia where speed limits are just trifling suggestions to be ignored. This should be easy. I agreed to meet her in Florence, which is where you make the left turn. And we had coffee. I showed up late. So I was walking up to the coffee shop, and she smiled, a beautiful smile, and she waved. And at that moment, my friends, for the first time in life, I saw the beauty of God's creation in her smile. We drank coffee. We walked around. We held hands. I swooned. She was so beautiful, so wonderful. I knew from that moment forward I was going to be driving to Coos Bay. Hey, that's okay. Go out, turn right, next big thing, you're there. What they didn't tell me was that it takes an hour and a half to go from Eugene up through the mountains in my little truck, over the mountains, swerve around here, trucks wallowing, desperately trying to get over the mountains, get to the final mountain, to the T intersection, hour and a half has gone by. That's okay, turn right, it's the next big thing. So I turn right and I start heading up into the hills. And around each corner, I see Coos Bay coming up. Dream on. This windy little 101 that's beautiful. It has evergreen tree canopies. Has logging trucks. You'll be driving along at 70 miles an hour, skidding around corners, and all of a sudden, a logging truck pulls out in front of you at 25 miles an hour. You can't pass the logging truck because the road is so curvy that you don't know what's coming at you. So I would sit behind the logging truck every 15 miles at 25 miles an hour. This went on for an hour and 15 minutes. And finally, through all of that, I finally came to a bay It was Coos Bay. And as I'm going down the grade into Coos Bay, I realized that I've now been on the road for 2.5 hours. You can take a flight that's less than 2.5 hours to see your truly beloved, and you truly intended. I had spent 2.5 hours on the road, but she was wonderful. She was a beautiful woman, and I could see beauty that I'd never seen before inside her. So it didn't bother me that it had taken me 2.5 hours to get to Coos Bay, where the next day I was going to meet all her girlfriends and see if I passed the test. Well, we redid her deck. She had a deck about the size of this room. It was made of 2x8s that were about 12 to 14 feet long. Every board comes off, goes over the fence down the hill, and we put a new board down. I couldn't move the following morning, but it was worth the trip. And many other trips. For a year, I drove to Coos Bay every day, fighting the logging trucks, cursing the logging trucks, but knowing at the end of that drive was the most beautiful woman in the world whom I truly loved. I think true love is like that. I think true love is such that no journey, no swerves and curves and disappointments, no logging truck is enough to dim that flame excuse me, of true love and true beauty. And I know it's not enough because we were married and it's been 7 years of bliss.